My name is Don Smith, and I am a hiker, and I love the outdoors. I love getting away from the city and spending time in the desert. Mountain climbing is my favorite thing to do when I go out. There's nothing like relieving your stress through the physical and mental challenge of climbing to the summit. When you finally get to the top, you feel a great sense of accomplishment and get to see that amazing view. I also love how quiet and still the desert can be. If you just take the time to stop and listen, it can feel like time is moving just a little slower out there. But the desert isn't always such a beautiful place. You don't have to look far to see the devastation taking place. The desert I love is slowly being destroyed by people. Plants and animals already struggle to survive, and people are making it harder for them to live. And that is why I decided to make this documentary. Because I wanted to know why this is happening to our deserts. Why? Where the city meets the desert, you can find the abandoned items of the people of Las Vegas. Clothing and toys left to bake in the sun. Spilled chemicals that poison the plants and animals. Corners were cut to save costs. But the environment is paying the price.
My name is John Asselin. I am a public affairs specialist with the Bureau of Land Management, Southern Nevada District. So we really have different kinds of dumping. There's the laziness dumping, where people are out here and they have their coffee, their paper coffee cup, and they just leave it behind because they don't think about it, or they're like, oh, I don't want to take it back. Somebody will come by and pick it up. And then there's that arrogant dumping, which is what you see here, where it's people are just like, someone else will clean up after me, and that's why we have all these broken beer bottles all over the place and the empty beer cases. You can easily take that back home with you because you brought it out here. And then there's the intentional dumping. There's the unlicensed trash hauling and landscape purveyors who will come out here and dump somebody else's trash who paid for it to go to the dump, and they'll just dump it out here instead of paying to take it to the landfill. And really, people don't think that the landscaping trash is an issue, but they're like, it's biodegradable. It comes from nature. Well, this is the desert, so we don't have moisture here, so it doesn't biodegrade. It just sits out here in the desert and is here for hundreds of years. And then not only that, down there in town, we're not growing plants in our yards that are native to this area. So when you bring it out here, now you're introducing possible non-native seeds which compete with the native plants here. Plants out here evolved to be in the desert. They're not used to fire. That's relatively a new thing because of all these non-native grasses have come in and taken away those buffers, and then it just burns right through and goes to the next plant. So if you have lightning strike a Joshua tree, 1,000 years ago, that Joshua tree would burn and that's it. But now if lightning strikes a Joshua tree, it will burn it'll just burn the whole area because there's all these non-native grasses that have taken away that buffer, and it just burns through to the next joshua tree, to the next joshua tree. And they don't grow back because they haven't evolved for that sort of thing.
I am Sophie Butler, and I'm the Community Programs Manager for Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful, based out of Reno, Nevada. When we have all of this illegally dumped material, we are potentially damaging the local flora, we're damaging native plants, and we might end up poisoning some of the local wildlife as well. They don't necessarily know better. These are the lands that they've roamed on for centuries, and now we're filling it with trash, and one of the side effects of that is unknowingly harming all of this wildlife.
Unofficial shooting ranges are another huge contributor to the trash being abandoned in the desert. All kinds of things are brought out there to be used as targets and are just left. Computers, pallets, propane tanks, televisions, paint cans, glass, furniture. All of these things just left out here. It can also be very dangerous to go out to these places. The ground is riddled with bullet casings, broken glass, and nails. When people shoot these items, they break into shards and splinter into pieces, making it easy to puncture a tire and get stranded out there.
Yeah, I see a lot of trigger trash. That's what we call it,
Trigger
out
trash.
at illegal dump sites. The shooting that happens on the public lands poses a huge hazard for a number of reasons. Not only is it super hard to clean up, but that's another huge risk to our recreators.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not illegal to shoot on a large portion of public lands, but it is when it's within a certain distance from homes and from trailheads, and it puts people in a lot of danger when people aren't being responsible with their firearms out on public lands. And it makes our job a lot harder. We have to be really careful sending volunteers out when we know there's a potential for people to be shooting in those areas while we're out there.
You know, in some of the more popular shooting areas, you see people go out there and they just bring their trash and shoot it. So then there's broken glass all over the place. I mean, you can buy paper targets and then take them back home with you. So go get the paper targets and take them back home with you. I mean, usually you can get them for free when you buy the bullets. So you know, just don't leave that stuff out there. Don't take a water heater out there and shoot it up. Don't take a TV and shoot it up. Don't take a mattress and shoot it up. Just take regular targets and then take that stuff back home.
Many people come out to the desert for recreation, to drink and party and have fun. Unfortunately, not everyone is a good steward of the land. The desert floor is covered with the glass from thousands of broken bottles. We need to change how we treat our lands. We need to be better.
My name's James Hennigan. I founded Pure Nevada. When COVID started, me and my wife would go on hikes. That's when we kind of really noticed the litter problem. I think we're getting a lot more influx of people that are unemployed, so they have a lot of free time on their hands. So they come out and, they come out, they drink, they party.
Yeah, it's become a lot worse in the last year. I've been with the BLM for 5 years. This area has always been a problem, but I'm seeing it's getting worse and worse and worse. And over the last year, I think with more people not working and not, and spending more time outside, we're seeing a lot more of it. And I think some of that has to do with people just not understanding that there's not someone to pick up your trash.
If someone sees that it's okay to do it, if there's not a garbage can in sight, they say, okay, everyone else is doing it, so I might as well do it. What's one little piece of trash going to do in this whole field of trash? But that's how it all starts.
It's not candy bar wrappers flying off in the wind out here. It's broken glass and tons and tons of broken glass and empty beer cases, and this is dumping. This is not an accident.
Lots of beer bottles, beer cans, lots of fast food restaurant rubbish, anything you can think of. Unfortunately, dead animals. It's just a shame what some of these people do out here. I don't understand it, quite honestly.
While making this documentary, I've stumbled across some pretty horrible things. But the worst was something I wasn't expecting. I found dozens of dead animals out in the desert. Cows, donkeys, sheep, discarded like the rest of the trash, left to rot in the sun. Dogs tied up in trash bags or just thrown on the ground. Dead puppies wrapped in blankets. This is a bone graveyard. How could some people be so heartless? This isn't dignified. This is sick. If we want to preserve our environment, I believe the key lies within educating the youth. Showing children the beauty of the desert and teaching them that it is not something to be taken for granted. That we are simply visitors to this place that plants and animals call home. And teach them how important it is to leave no trace.
My name is John Blackwell, and I'm retired, and I do volunteer work for Lake Mead Recreation Area, the first recreation area in the U.S. Oh, we've got so many beautiful places around Las Vegas. I mean, you're 3 hours away from like 5 national parks. You've got state parks that are just gorgeous. You got national monuments around Las Vegas that are just very unique and very beautiful places. Enjoy the sounds, enjoy the smell. If you're ever in the desert right after it rains, the smell of the desert is just so unique and so refreshing. Gold Strike Canyon, it's a beautiful canyon. You've got moss-covered walls, you got waterfalls coming off the cliff. It's just very unique and very beautiful. And then as it started getting busier and busier, those things started getting destroyed, and graffiti started appearing everywhere, and garbage started appearing everywhere, and it's just, I hate to see that happen, I mean, it can handle the traffic if people will clean up after themselves, and leave nothing behind.
I would say the earlier we can instill these values into our society, the better. So if we're able to teach our students when they're in first grade about the 4 R's, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, then we can keep hammering that in over the years. And by the time they're adults like you or I, it's just second nature that they're following these steps and thinking through how their actions will impact the environment.
respect the animals that live here, respect the plants that live here. I mean, this is where they thrive and where they live, and you're just there visiting to enjoy them and enjoy the sounds, enjoy the beauty of it, and it just makes common sense to respect animals, plants, and nature itself.
I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think the solution to the trash is in the prevention of it ever ending up out there. Because even 1,000 volunteers couldn't clean up all the trash being brought out to the desert every day. We need to make people aware of what is going on in the deserts surrounding our city. We need to get the word out that there is a place to take these unwanted things, and that the cost of bringing these things to the desert is far greater than just taking them to the proper place. We need to continue educating our youth on the importance of preserving our environment, and let them know that the things we leave out there do not just go away, but can stay there for decades, if not centuries. And show them that the desert can be beautiful, and that it is something worth protecting. People need to know that it is no one's job to clean up the desert. The people who pick up the litter are not being paid. They are our friends and neighbors who volunteer their time to do this, because they know the importance of preserving the environment for us and future generations to enjoy. If we could all be a little more mindful and pick up after ourselves, we can keep our deserts beautiful.